Hello everyone and welcome back to the video. In today's video we're going to be going over which region is the best in the world. There are four major regions in this game. You have America, Mexico, Europe, and Japan. As well as world, we're going to be including world for this one. They're going to be their own regions. So if you're not in any of those major regions, you're just going to be put into world. And I've taken the top 5 players that I believe from every single region. We're going to be talking about all of them and then we're going to be comparing them at the end of the video to see which region is actually the best. And the first region we're going to talk about is going to be America. Now, at some point in this video, I'll probably refer to America as NA. Just know that I mean USA when I say NA. Old habits just die hard. And our first player is going to be Tweak. Tweak is top 4 in the world right now. He is already having a major win this year at Let's Make Big Moves, as well as a bunch of other amazing placements. Second at Level Up Expo, second at Summit, top 8ing Genesis and Collision. Basically, Tweak does not miss top 8s, and he is just insanely consistent, as well as having some of the highest peaks in the game. He's also doing pretty well towards the end of 2022. Those results are starting to matter less and less as we get, further into the year. But, he did get second at both Main Stage and Scuff World Tour, so that's definitely something you got to shout out. Next up, you have Light, who's also been incredibly consistent. The only top 8 he's missed this year is going to be at Collision, but outside of that, he's been pretty spectacular. One Level of Expo over Tweak, and Sonic's got top 3 at Genesis, 5th at Let's Make Big Moves. Unfortunately, missed out on Summit, but he has been doing very, very well. It's such an impressive player. Was the best player in NA for 2022, so he's looking to probably steal that back this year, but Tweak has been holding on to it, at least for a little bit, because the competition between them is very, very close. Next up, you have Karama. Now, Karama's start to the year wasn't super great, didn't do amazing at Genesis, didn't do amazing at Collision, but he does really, really well at Summit, gets a bunch of crucial wins, including a win on Spargo, which is huge, as well as doing very well at Major Upset, and the end of his 2022 year was fairly strong as well. Then you have Mudace. Now, Mudace only has 2 majors this year, but one of them is Genesis, where he gets second, and one of them is Summit, where he gets wins on Nader U, Spargo, and Riddles, which are obviously all amazing players, especially Spargo and Riddles being kind of in that top 10 area as well, so that's going to be huge. And then the amount of wins he got at Genesis are unreal. He basically got half of the top 10 there. He got Light, he got Gluto, he got Meister, he got most notably Aquila and Leo as well, so Mudace has a bunch of amazing wins. And the final player that I have chosen is going to be Onin. Now, we haven't seen a ton from Onin lately, but looking at his 2022 results kind of says it all, because he was farming that year. He won the biggest, at least tournament in terms of a ranking in SmashCon. He won that tournament, which was huge. Did really well at LSI, got second at Let's Make Moves Miami. Onin is just such a constant threat. He didn't do amazing at his only major of the year, Let's Make Big Moves, but we haven't seen him in a very long time. Again, Let's Make Big Moves being the last one. That was all the way in January. We're halfway through April now. I do believe we're seeing him at Battle of BC, though, and when we see him at Battle of BC, he's probably going to be in the top 8, maybe even the top 3. Next up is going to be Europe, starting off with Gluttony, who has not missed a top 8 at a major yet this year. He has wins on players like Light, Tweak, Leo, Mudace, as well as top 8s at Let's Make Big Moves, Genesis, and Summit. Gluttony is ridiculous. We've known this for a while now. Best player in Europe for a very long time, but we finally have someone with some serious contention for that, and that is going to be Bloom Forever. Now, Bloom Forever doesn't have any majors yet this year. Towards the end of last year, he did pretty good at Tech Republic, getting 3rd there, but he has been farming regionals. I don't think he's dropped a tournament yet this year, and what Bloom will do is he'll just kind of troll around in the winner side of bracket because he's that good, and then in loser side he will just tear people up. It's actually unreal how phenomenal he is at this game. Next up, you have Siski, who's also not had an amazing start to 2023, but he's only been to 2 majors, one of them getting 17th at Genesis, only losing to Mars and Leo, which is just kind of unlucky, and 17th is still pretty good, and then a 33rd at Collision, which again is not the end of the world. It's not a terrible placement. Next up, you're going to have Lugi. Now, Lugi has a win at Tech Republic towards the end of last year. Also, I should have mentioned, Siski got 4th at Tech Republic, so that's going to be his big win. And aside from that, we haven't really seen him do super well at majors, but he also hasn't really been to any since Tech Republic. He has done pretty well at regionals, though. Most notably, just got 2nd at Invasion, beating both Bloom and Gluttony, as well as a couple other players. Even though he did lose to Bloom in the reset, he was looking very, very impressive. And finally, you have Mr. R with a 2nd place at Tech Republic, and it's kind of the same thing for Mr. R. We haven't really seen him at a major. He's been doing pretty well at some regionals, because EU has not had a major yet this year, so a lot of the EU talent hasn't really had the chance to prove themselves, because Gluttony and Bloom are the only ones that are at least on this top 5 that have actually been traveling. But we do have Mr. R going to Japan this weekend and for a couple other tournaments, so that's going to be hype. If he's doing well there, that could definitely give EU a good boost. Next up is going to be Japan, and full disclosure, Japan was definitely the hardest top 5 for me to make just because the players there are so close, but our first one is going to be Akla. For pretty obvious reasons, he is just kind of crazy. He's been doing very well as of late in contention for #1 in the world, has won multiple majors in US and Japan, so he's looking very, very good. Next up, you have Mia, who's been a little bit more hit or miss with a 13th at Umebura and a 49th at Kowloon, but then he also has a first at Meisuma top 11 where he got a win on Akla and wins on players like Shuton, Ken, Gak. He won Subageki as well over players like Kameme, Shuton, Nietono, and then recently he got second at Kowloon 5, only losing to Shuton. Mia is just ridiculous. Even though he's a little bit more consistent towards the start, it seems like he figured it out and has only been having good placements as of late. Next up is going to be Shuton. Now, Shuton's 2023 has been a little bit hit or miss. He's had some okay performances and some good ones. 9th at Meisuma's pretty okay. 3rd at Subageki's really good. Has a big win at Kowloon after a crazy loser run, losing to Shiryuki fairly early on, getting a bunch of top wins along the way. He does have a 17th at Kagarebi, which isn't great, but he also has a 5th at Umebura, which is pretty good. And then towards the end of 2022, he has this really nice run at Scuff World Tour wins on Akala, Leo, Gluto, Dabuz, Sonics. Again, we're mainly focusing on 2023 results, but when the run is that good, I kind of have to point it out. Like, that was ridiculous from him. Next up, I'm going to have Proto Bonham. Now, Proto Bonham also does not have a ton of results, but the one result that he does have is really strong. Is 5th place at Ultimate Summit 6, wins on Big D, Aaron, Tweak, and Riddles. Now, Proto Bonham's one of those players that you don't really see him play a ton, but we kind of all just know when you look at the gameplay, yeah, this guy is nuts, especially when he's in America, and I think if he can figure out his dominance in Japan again, he could be in contention for like a top 5 spot, if he's not already, just because of how high his skill ceiling is. And the final player that I have is going to be T. Again, there's a couple players that I think have better results than T in 2023, but his 2022 was just so strong that I feel pretty silly not putting him on here. The only really strong result that we have this year from him is 2nd at Umebura, which is obviously amazing, getting wins on players like Yoshidora, Kameme, Osimo, Munikin, Suinoko. He also is 2nd at Tamasuma, which was a pretty big regional, only losing to Akla, getting wins on Cosmos, now Umeki. He does have 17th at Meisuma, which isn't amazing, but no real bad losses there, only losing to Nia and Osimo. And then 9th place at Genesis as well, wins on Dabuz, Ouch, Modsai. So T is ridiculous. Even though his 2023 hasn't been amazing, kind of the same thing with Shuton, I think they're definitely both deserving just because of how good they've been in the past. Next up is going to be Mexico, and our top 2 for Mexico are Leo and Spargo, and I probably don't need to go in depth on these guys, but you know, we have a Genesis win, we have a major upset win, we have 2nd place at multiple majors. These guys are ridiculous and obviously top 4 players in the world. Next up, you're going to have SkyJ, who has been doing just phenomenal as of late. He has been not only farming regionals, but he's had a 5th place at Summit wins on players like Nader U, Void, Hungrybox, Riddles, and Apollo Kage, as well as a really, really strong placement at Collision. Definitely his best run so far, because he could honestly get better because he's really, really good. But he has wins on Mystery, Dabuz, Meister, Spargo, and Spargo again, only losing to Riddles twice. SkyJ is ridiculous. He has been doing phenomenal this year, and again, he's been doing it with Incineroar, which is a character that you should not be having this much success with, but he has figured it out. Next up is going to be Meister. Now, Meister's 2023 has not been as strong as his 2022. He has 25th at Genesis, which is pretty good. 33rd at Let's Make Big Moves. Again, pretty good placements, but nothing crazy. But then he has this really nice run at Collision, getting 4th place there. Wins on players like Henry Luma, Dark Wizzy, Karama, MVD, Zomba, Shiny Mark, and Lima. And finally, you have MK Big Boss, who's been doing very, very well in contention for best Rob in the world. Now has a really nice top 8 at Let's Make Big Moves with multiple wins there, including Anathema in the Rob Ditto, which no one really talked about. That's crazy. Beating Anathema in the Rob Ditto is very impressive, but he also beat Salt 1 and Sonics, which are 2 like top 15 players in the world. Maybe not right now for Salt 1, but when he's playing at his top level, Salt 1 is definitely like an S tier caliber player, so that's a really impressive win. 33rd at Genesis as well, pretty good. And then I think most notably, he just won a Dream Hack, which I've been very impressed by, and he got wins on players like Larry Lur, Karama twice, Dark Wizzy, Peckham, 17th at Major Upset. MK Big Boss has just doing phenomenal as of late, and again, in contention for best Rob in the world, and that's with players like Zomba and Anathema still having some pretty good results. So MK Big Boss, he's definitely on the rise. He is going to be World, starting off with Sonics, who has so many top 8s this year, like it's actually unreal. His worst performance this year is a 5th place at Collision, which is insane. He has wins on Spargo, he has wins on Leo, he has wins on Dabuz, he has wins on Gluto, he has wins on basically half the top 10. It is just ridiculous how good he is. Top 4 at Genesis, 3rd place at Let's Make Big Moves, 3rd place at Level of Expo, and a 5th place at Collision, like I mentioned. I think the second Sonics gets into a Grand Finals this year, he's probably just going to win the tournament. He's that good. It's actually unreal how talented he is. The way he pioneers Sonic, which is obviously a broken character, is just so impressive. His playstyle is really hard to play against, especially in tournament. Next up, you're going to have Riddles, with his weakest tournament being Genesis, but then he has a 7th at Let's Make Big Moves. A huge win at Collision, got a bunch of good wins there, as well as a really good sub performance, getting wins on Spargo and Leo. He has multiple wins on Leo this year. Like Riddles, again, his only bad performance this year is going to be that Genesis run. Even after that, Major Upset. I just completely forgot about Major Upset, where he got 3rd, wins on MFA, Chase twice, Karama, Big D. Riddles is a ridiculous player, one of Canada's best. And speaking of one of Canada's best, we got to talk about Big D, who is pushing the Ice Climber meta way further than it ever was supposed to go. He has 17th at Genesis, getting wins on Sen, Andres FN, and Colorado, only losing to Aquila and Zomba, by the way, which is pretty crazy. Then he has 3rd at Smash Ultimate Summit 6, probably being his best run to date. That on main stage, which is also technically in the time frame, but we're again staying to 2023 results when we can. But for that 3rd place at Summit, he has wins on Void, Gluttony, Aaron, Aquila, and Karama. He beat Aquila and Ice Climber Steven, even though he lost the run back. It's crazy that he was able to do it in the 1st place. And then finally, he has a 4th place at Major Upset, wins on Krieg, Rocky, Riddles, and Jackal. Big D is just insanely consistent, and he's doing it with a character like Ice Climbers, which is a character that does not scream consistency to me, but he's managed to figure out. And our final Canadian player is going to be Ouch. Now, Ouch does not have a top 8 at a major yet this year. Again, big emphasis on yet, but he has a couple 9th places under his belt at Major Upset and Genesis. Major Upset getting wins on players like Opsign, Bombastic, Aaron, and then Genesis getting wins on players like Orion, Jadizzle, Kameme, Now, and a bunch of other really good players, and as well as a 9th place at Main Stage, getting wins on Kronos, Zomba, Jadizzle, Shine. He is just essentially right out of that top 8 range every single time, but he's so close to breaking through that top, and once he does, he is going to be a really, really scary player. Like, Ouch is so close to the peak, I can taste it. And our final world player is going to be Shiny Mark. Now, Shiny Mark only has 1 performance, but at performance is at Collision, where after losing on Lima fairly early on, he beats Ned, Henry Luma, Andres FN, Shattuck, Peanut, Ling, and MK Leo. If we just see Shiny Mark going to more stuff, he's 100% going to be like an S tier Cowboy player. He is unreal, best Pikachu in the game to do it right now, and such an impressive player. So now that we've actually gone over all the players, we can start the ranking itself. And the way that I've done this is I've given each player a letter next to their name. You have P, which is going to be worth 5 points, S+, which is going to be worth 4 points, S, which is going to be worth 3 points, A, which is going to be worth 2 points, B, which is going to be worth 1 point. And the reason I have S+ and S, by the way, is just because the level of play is that high that calling some of these players A tier would just be straight up disrespectful. So starting off, you're going to have Japan with Aquila in the P tier and everyone else in the S+ tier. Then you're going to have America with Tweak in the P tier, everyone else in the S+ tier, and then Onan in the S tier. The only reason I've Onan in the S tier just because we haven't seen a ton from him as of late, but I'm sure he is still an S+ tier player. For Mexico, you have MK Leo and Smargo in P, the only region with 2 P tier players in them, so that's a lot of points. Then you have SkyJ in S+, Meister in S, and MK Big Boss in A. Again, I could definitely see Meister being moved up to S+ here, but what we've seen from him as of late, the only one I've been super impressed by was Collision, so we're going to keep him in that S tier for now. Again, he could move up later on in the year. And then we have Europe with Gluto in S+, Bloom in S, Siski in S, Mr. R, and Luigi in A. Again, if you want to put Siski maybe in A, I could see it. And then for Bloom, I have him in S, even though he hasn't had a ton of major results. I just looked at his gameplay, and he is so impressive, so he can honestly be S+. I was going to put him S+ initially, but I thought that'd be too far, just again, not really any results. So if you want to switch a couple of them around, again, that's fine. And then finally, you have World being Sonics with S+, Riddles S+, Big D S+, Ouch in A, and Shiny Mark in A. And just in case you're curious what I mean by the actual letters themselves, the P tier is going to be our 4 horsemen of Aquila, Tweak, Light, and Leo. That's just kind of be your top 4 players in the world, all in contention for number 1. S+ tier is going to be 5 to 15 area. And the reason it's S+, by the way, not just S, A, B, C, D, is because the top level of the game is so close right now that I need a little bit of a divider, and all of these guys, even being 30th in the world, you are like an S tier player. That's how crazy you have to be in this game right now. So S tier is going to be the 30 to 15 range, and A tier is going to be the 30 to 50 range. Again, none of these are actual like concrete placements. Maybe a couple players are too high, maybe a couple too low, but you can make arguments for all of these. You could say like, hey, I think that MK Big Boss is in contention for top 30 in the world, or top 30 to 50 in the world because he's A tier. It's like, yep, I agree with that. I think that Mr. R is in contention for top 30 to 50 in the world. I think that Riddles is top 15, 10 in the world. It's like, yes, these are all arguments that are plausible and could be made, and I tried to do the most optimistic outlook for each person. So now that we have all that out of the way and I've added up all the points, our worst region in the world is going to be, unfortunately, Europe still, but they have been catching up rapidly. Again, specifically Bloom and Lugi are people you need to watch out for. And there's a bunch of other players that I didn't mention for Europe that are still really good. You have a couple other A tiers in there for sure. So Europe is very impressive as of late and still a very incredible region with some top talent, but they are going to be our lowest one. Next up is going to be World. And again, this is mainly just Canada, but you have Sonics, obviously. You have Shiny Mark, obviously. And there are other good players that aren't even on here. I think most of them, you have Ferps, who's really, really good. Haven't really seen him being able to travel a lot. So there are players that are in minor regions. Australia as well. There's a ton of players from Australia that you might be able to put in A tier. Most of them are in B tier, but maybe a couple of them you could argue for A tier. Next up, you're going to have Mexico at 19. Now, Mexico is obviously incredible. You have some of the most top-heavy players in the world, but the number one region in the world is going to be Japan, because America is at 20 and Japan is at 21. And just in case you weren't convinced that America and Japan are the top two regions, I've also listed just 5 more players from both those regions. You have Apollo Kage S, Dabuz S, Salt One, Quid, and Zomba all in A. And for Japan, you have Yoshidora in S+, Osimo S+, Zachary S+, Ken and Yara in S. These regions are, I think, clearly top 2 in the world right now, but I do still want to give shouts to Mexico, because a lot of Mexico's top talent we don't have a ton of information on, and that's going to be, for me at least, Waka, Rox, Alan, Dis, and Cloudy. Those are the players I've probably been the most impressed by, but there's a couple other ones. Javi's really good, Nair's really good. There's a bunch of top talent in Mexico that could be S tier, S plus tier players, maybe even P tier players, but we haven't really seen a ton from them, so it's a little bit hard to rank. But if you want to put Mexico for second, I would still think it's definitely America, just because, again, you have Apollo Kage, you have Dabuz, maybe he should be in the A tier, but you have Dabuz Salt One, who had amazing 2022s, just not an amazing start to 2023. You have Quid as a huge hidden boss, kind of the same thing as Zomba as Dabuz and Salt One. And then Japan is just clearly the best region. Like, I think if you don't think Japan is the best region, you're just kind of not objectively wrong, but like, if you're looking at the numbers here, the amount of S tier players they have, and there's a lot more S tier players that they have, by the way, is ridiculous. Now, if you want to say all of NA versus Japan, you put in Canada there, you put in Mexico there, then we can start talking about it. But for now, Japan is definitely the best region in the world, and I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If there's a player that I forgot in this top 5, because it's very likely, because there's a ton of top talent in this game, just leave them down below. I swear it was intentional. I just have a bad memory. But yeah, sport's been absolutely unreal, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.